Hello friends, and we continue to study adjective clauses, and I think this will be the last course on adjective clauses in intermediate English. And now we have an exercise, and it says underline the adjective clauses and complete each sentence with your own words. Now, number one is done. One of the things I like best is, the adjective clause. This modifies this one. This is one of the things. Hot and spicy shish kebab. Now, please pause the video and then complete the sentences. You can write down true information or just made up information. Doesn't matter. Yani cümleleri tamamlarken doğru bilgi de verebilirsiniz. Kendiniz herhangi bir fiction dediğimiz hayali bir şey de olabilir. Önemli değil. Diyelim ki işte televizyon programı. Yani ben televizyon izleyen biri olmadığım için burada bunu rastgele atacağım gibi gözüküyor. Buna benzer. Önemli olan doğru cümle kurabilmek. Yani the most important thing is that you can make true or correct adjective clauses. Number two, one of the places I want to visit someday is Thailand. This is the adjective clause. Be careful. This is singular and should be singular in here. Helping verb or verb. One of the people I admire most in the world is Mevlana. Some of the cities I would like to visit are Italy, Morocco, and Egypt. Some, plural, plural. Some of the places I hope to visit someday are Antep, Urfa, and Mardin. One of the cities I would like to visit while I'm in this country is Denver. I don't know why I want to go to Denver, but I would like to go and see Denver. One of the programs my roommate likes to watch on TV is Sleep Tight. This is made up name. Şimdi ben bunu kendim buraya yazdım. Belki böyle bir program. And I don't know, maybe there is no such program on TV. Sleep Tight. But if you say I'm sleep tight to a person before he goes to bed, he or she, that means you wish sleep well. Bu bir deyimdir. Yani sleep tight dediğiniz zaman böyle iyi uyu anlamında. One of the subjects I would like to know more about is astronomy. And by the way, the underlined part of the sentence here, these are adjective clauses. And some of the things I like most in life are computer, car, and food. I don't know why I say this. But as I told you before, this part is not that important. Şimdi şu kısımlar o kadar önemli değil. Just the important thing to make correct adjective clause sentences. But here this is the adjective clause, and one of the best books I have ever read is The Medical Mafia. But there's a book called Medical Mafia. If you can find this book and you can read it, it's really nice the book, and you can see what's going on in medical industry. One of the hardest classes I've ever taken is chemistry. Adjective clause. One of the most fascinating people I've ever met is Jimmy Jones. I don't know this person, but just I made up. But anyway, and this is the exercise. Now we have an exercise also, but you see the unfinished sentences and complete the sentences with your own words again. But pause the video first, please. Number one, but these are my sentences. Of course, your sentences will be different from mine. My friend told me about a man who can teach math and English. Öğretebilecek. I have a friend whose father travels a lot for business purposes. I returned the book that I borrowed from the library. The person who is sitting over there is next door neighbor, kapı komşu. The people I have just talked to gave me a nice book. The movie we went to last night was not that good. The people whose car was broken asked us for help. Do you know the woman that is, wait a second, this should be gray, sorry for that mistake, that has gray shirt and black shoes. The book I read yesterday belongs to my sister. The person to whom we talked was from Greece. One of the places I have always wanted to visit is Japan. Daima ziyaret etmek istediğim yerlerden biri. Some of the things I need to fix the computer are screwdriver, pliers, and scissors. Now, look at the sentences and try to find out the mistakes and then correct the mistakes. But read them very carefully, please. Number 1, the book that I bought at the bookstore was very expensive. 2, the woman that I met, adjective clause, modifies the woman. Yesterday was nice. People who or that live next to me are friendly. I met a woman whose husband is a famous lawyer. Whose husband defines a woman. Do you know the people who live in that house? Who live, adjective clause, and defines the people. The professor who teaches chemistry 101 is very good. I wrote a thank you note to the people whose house I visited on Thanksgiving Day. The people who I met, or just the people I met at the party last night, were interesting. Were and people, plural, plural. I enjoy the music that we listen to. The man whose bicycle was stolen was very angry. Whose bicycle was stolen is the adjective clause, modifies the man. A clock is an instrument that or which measures time. The apple tree that we planted last year, adjective clause, is producing fruit. Before I came here, I don't have the opportunity to speak to the people whose native tongue or native language is English. One of the things I need to get a new alarm clock. The people who were waiting in line for tickets to the game were happy and excited because their team had made it to the championship series. Okay, this is the true sentences. Now here we have an exercise about adjective clauses, and it says underline the adjective clauses in the following passages and circle the nouns that adjective clauses modify. And number 1 is done. Frogs are small tailless animals that live near water. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies this one, animals. So here you see the animals, the word is in parentheses. You can also put the word in parentheses in adjective clauses. That adjective clauses modify, because This is adjective clause, and this modifies this one. But pause the video and then try to do the exercise. And we have some other, two more paragraphs coming up. Number 2, flowers that bloom year after year are called perennials. Flowers, the noun, that bloom year after year. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies this one. Flowers that bloom only one season. That bloom only one season is the adjective clause. So this is adjective clause, and this modifies this word. Flowers are called annuals. Flamingos are large pink birds that have long legs and curved bills. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies this word, the birds. Fossil is the remains of an animal or plant that lived in the past. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies either this one or this one. Who is that boy? Which boy? Are you talking about the boy who is wearing the striped shirt? This is one adjective clause, and this modifies boy. Or the boy who has on the t-shirt. This is another adjective clause, and this modifies this one. I'm not talking about either one of them. I'm talking about the boy who just waved at us. Who just waved at us is the adjective clause, and this modifies the word in this parenthesis. Look over there. Do you see the kid that has the red baseball cap? This is one adjective clause in the sentence, and this modifies this word. Kid or boy, same meaning. Sure, I know him. That's all Jordan's kid. His name is Josh or Jake or Jason. Nice kid. Do you wave back? Now we have 2 more paragraphs. Again, pause the video and then find out the adjective clauses and also the nouns or noun that adjective clause modifies in the sentence. Hiroki is from Japan. When he was 16, he spent 4 months in South America. He stayed with a family who lived near Quito, Ecuador. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies family. Their way of life was very different from his. Hayat tarzı. At first, many of the things they did and said. This is adjective clause, and this modifies things. Many of the things actually, but the things is okay. Seemed strange, weird, bizarre to Hiriko. Their eating customs, political views, ways of expressing emotion, work habits, sense of humor, and more. He felt homesick for people who were like him in their customs and habits. This is adjective clause, and this modifies the people. As time went on, Hiroki began to appreciate the way of life that his host family followed. Is the adjective clause, and this modifies the way of life, hayat tarzı. Many of the things, or just the things, he did with his host family. This is adjective clause, and this modifies the things. Began to feel natural to him. He developed a strong bond of friendship with them. At the beginning of his stay in Ecuador, he had noticed only the things that were different between his host family and himself. This one is the adjective clause, and this modifies things. At the end, he appreciated the many things they had in common. They had in common, adjective clause, and modifies things. They had in common as human beings, despite their differences in cultural background. Yani kültürel geçmişteki farklarına rağmen. Many of the problems that exist today, this is adjective clause, this modifies the problems, have existed since the beginning of recorded history. One of these problems is violent conflict between people who come from different geographical areas or cultural backgrounds. This one, from here till here, is adjective clause, and this modifies people. One group may distrust and fear another group of people who are different from themselves in language, politics, religion, and or appearance. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies people. These irrational fears, illogical fears, are the source of much of the violence that has occurred or happened or took place throughout the history of the world. This is the adjective clause, and this modifies violence. Now here we have a reading passage about sloths. This is sloth, and this animal is called sloth. And let's go and read the passage about the sloths and then get some information about them. But I just read it, and then we have questions about the passages. But first, please, if you want, you can pause the video and then read the passage using your dictionaries, because some words here may not be familiar with you, or you may not be familiar with some words in this passage. Sloths live in the tropical forests of Central and South America. With their long arms and shaggy fur, this is shaggy fur, they resemble monkeys, or they look like monkeys, but they are actually related to armadillos and anteaters. They can be 0.6 to 0.8 meters long and weigh from 3.6 to 7.7 kilograms. There are two main species of sloth, two main kinds of sloth. The two species are quite similar in appearance, with roundish heads, and sad-looking eyes, tiny ears, and stubby tails. You see the tail, short and thick. This is called stubby tails. The sloth with two toes, one toe, two toe, two, are slightly bigger and spend more time on trees than their cousins with three toes. So one group has two toes, another group or another kind has three toes. Three-toed sloths, that means the sloths that have three toes, or three-toed sloths, have facial coloring that makes them look like they are always smiling. Because when you look at the face, and this animal looks like smiling. They also have two extra neck vertebrae, this is kind of technical term, that allow them to turn their heads almost all the way round. So in their neck there is vertebrae, and with the help of the vertebrae they can turn their heads almost all the way around. Sloths have slow motion lifestyle, so they would be less noticeable to predators. So they would be less noticeable to predators, such as hawks and cats, which rely heavily on their eyesight when they hunt. The algae that grows on the sloth's fur, this is the fur, also helps them avoid predators. With that on their fur, that means with the algae on their fur, they look like green leaves. They rarely come down from the trees. About once every week, they descend, go down to go to the bathroom, slowly moving about by digging their front claws into the dirt and dragging their bodies. If they are caught by a predator, this is passive, remember, sloths turn from sluggish to slugger, biting fiercely, hissing, slashing with their claws, and shrieking. Now first, as I told you, use the dictionary, and when you read this reading passage. Now, the questions, actually these are not the questions, these are the statements, and check them if they are true or false according to the passage. Sloths can be found in Africa. This is false statement. This is not true because they live in Central and South American forests. 2. They are part of the family members of armadillos. This is true because they are related to armadillos and anteaters. They usually spend their times on trees. That's true. Sometimes they descend or come down to the ground. They can move rapidly when they are in danger. This is false because they move slowly. They have poor eyesight. This is true. They cannot see well. If they are caught by predator, if they are caught by predator, they scream or become aggressive. This is true. Okay, as I said before, just read the passage, sorry for that. Read the passage and using a dictionary. Now, everyday English. John and Jack are talking. Tom's really in trouble with his father. That means there's a problem with his father. Yes, his brother told me. Still, it's his own fault. All fault or mistake. Yes, fancy borrowing his father's car without permission. That means his father has a very expensive car. So he just took the car without father's permission. And then crashing into the garage door. Wow, this is another problem. First mistake, second mistake, and problem. No wonder his father went up the wall. If you say, I mean, somebody goes up the wall, that means that person gets so angry. Definitely, that means definitely, absolutely, his father got so angry, or his father went up the wall. It is understandable. The repairs are going to cost him a fortune. That means a lot of money. Cost him a fortune. The repairs of the garage, the repairs of the car. Too expensive, that means. Now, friends, we've just finished adjective clauses in here. And next time we're gonna study different subject. But as I told you before, if you leave me your reviews, comments, and ideas regarding the way I teach the English, that would be very very helpful for me. Arkadaşlar hep söylediğim gibi şimdi pek yorum gelmiyor. Yorum gelmediğine göre ben diyorum herhalde her şey iyi gidiyor. Yani ders anlatışla ilgili, değişik şeyler yani konuyla ilgili olarak olsun, görüş, öneri, yorumlarınız varsa bana bildirirseniz sevinirim. Ben sürekli dediğim gibi bu dersi özellikle böyle Türkçe bilen ve İngilizce öğrenmek isteyen arkadaşlar yardımcı olmak için hazırlamaya çalışıyorum. Ve hani kanalıma yani birçokları gibi işte abone olun, like yapın, bunu istemiyorum. Yani yaparsanız yaparsınız. Yapmasanız önemli değil ama faydalanabiliyorsanız ve bunu da hani faydalanmak isteyen arkadaşlarınızla bildirirseniz de iyi olur. Çünkü bir insan faydalansa benim için mutluluktur yani. So, see you next time.